This fall, 6 cities prepare for 2 rebels with a cause.
If you like it, you should have put a ring pop on it. You know what I'm saying?
You think Genghis Khan would stand for this shit?
Phoenix, Houston, Charleston, Nashville, New York, Baltimore. The Rebels with a Cause comedy tour. Tickets on sale now at louderwithcrowder.com/tour. That's a wonderful sip from the club that is Mug. Before anything else, look, louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. Go in there, check it out, and if you're a student, veteran, active military, you will get $30 off. They are banning people left and right on the Roe v. Wade stuff. So we will get into the double standard there because the left is actively and en masse calling for violent revolution. Violent insurrection across this country. The media may not be covering it. You may think it was mostly peaceful. There were acts of violence breaking out across nearly every major city in this country. Certainly the ones that I can think of. So, but the standard doesn't apply to you. So we don't know what will happen here because I don't advocate violence unless someone's trying to burn down your church or a crisis pregnancy center. Then fan the hammer. Clear enough? So we're going to be talking about that basically all across the country, and of course showing you the best of the best as it relates to the Roe v. Wade protesters. And they look exactly whatever you had in your head. That's exactly how they look.
Nailed it.
Before we move in, Gerald A. is here, the best man, the better man. He's doing well, and the fastest man on his feet. And he's with me on tour, louderwithcrowder.com/tour. By the way, Houston is September 17th.
Ahoy.
At the Smart Financial Center. And then Charleston, West Virginia, October 8th.
Ahoy.
So we added some other shows in Nashville, and Phoenix is expanding, but those two are shows that, a lot of you asked for it, so go and buy tickets. You doing well, Dave?
I'm doing good.
Not the grammar.
Doing good. Doing well?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm feeling well.
I know that you know better than that.
I'm fine. I sat next to a British man on the plane who was drunk yesterday.
Well, you repeat yourself.
Yes.
And you said he threw up?
Many times.
Yeah. How was that for? Did it just smell like old?
Smelled like a man who was ordering drinks I've never heard of.
Yeah, and
it's like, I have an Arbuckle soda, and you're like, I'm sorry, are we on a British cruise line?
Oh no, here comes the bangers and mash.
I hope you don't mind. It's a little bumpy. I'm going to throw up on everything.
Yes, I'm going to throw up food that nobody likes going in.
I'm glad you worked this hard for first class.
Not to be outdone, there was a Scot in the back. Like, I've got haggis.
There's the whole plane. I was like, this is weird.
This is a weird European throw-up group. Speaking of wanting to throw up, let's go right into it. Our favorite. Look, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Michael Rappaport. He took to TikTok, which is always a good sign, to attack. And I don't know why this isn't racist. And by the way, let me just tell you, some people asking, like, well, where do you line up? Because some people think that, I think that Justice Clarence Thomas is a pimp. And we'll put together his 5 greatest hits probably tomorrow or sometime this week, because he is the target right now, because he was willing to go out on his shield on this one. He was very clear in the reasoning of his decision, which people do not like, which I agree with. By the way, not that I don't like him, I agree with his reasoning.
Yeah.
In his opinion. I really recommend that you read his opinion. It was fantastic. But Michael Rappaport took to TikTok to attack Justice Thomas in this idiotic, and you decide if it's racist, rant.
You overturned Roe versus Wade, and the leader of the pack, Clarence Thomas, you handsy,
can't say pack,
good for nothing, sexual harassing motherfucker, you creep. You creep. If you had gotten what you want from Anita Hill with your overtures and your sexual advancements.
Never happened.
And you had somehow, some way impregnated her, right? Being married and all that, right? Mr. Judge, Mr. Supreme Court Judge. If you had impregnated Anita Hill, what would you have done with that baby, you fucking worm, you? You would have aborted it.
Logical fallacy. There we go.
For the abortion, and you'd have paid the hush money because you're a creep sucker, you. Bunch of fake, phony motherfuckers out there. What would you have done with that baby, Clarence? Pubic hair, Clarence, you freak. You freaky little horny old dirty breath. I know your breath smells like old coffee, newspaper, and stale Band-Aids, you creepy kook, you.
Now, just imagine if it were a white conservative saying that about a black lady.
Well,
Can you edit and go back and record on TikTok?
Yeah, I don't know if he has that button.
Is it because coffee breath and Band-Aids was just the...
And that's him, Brian.
one way to go.
He's pulling a Brian De Palma. He's done like 46 takes before he uploaded that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the best he could come up with.
exactly. It sounds like
That's
a
the
12-year-old.
snake eyes of Rappaport's Clarence Thomas insults.
You poopy pants judge.
You poopy pants judge. And what would you have done with Anita Hill, huh? You would have aborted it. That's what they... Rather than addressing what it is that Judge Clarence Thomas said,
Yeah.
it's make up a scenario. First off, you guys can go back and look at Anita Hill. The reason that people didn't believe... It's like Brett Kavanaugh. People still act as though it was real. It wasn't. They tried to say that he was going to a CD porno store, which could not have possibly happened because it didn't exist when he lived in that locale. His great crime, when people consider it sexual harassment, is something that makes me like him more. Where he had a little eyelash or something on his Diet Coke can. So like, hey, who put their pubic hair in my Diet Coke can? Nah, I'm just kidding. Nah. Good for him. That was it.
Do we have the inside video on that where he's like,
Just full of Def Comedy Jam, just a beat comes down. Da-na-na-na-na.
Musical intermission.
Seriously, that was the big thing. For
Yeah.
people who don't know, if you're younger, you're watching, that was where Joe Biden used the N-word in front of him, and he just decided to. Everything was racially motivated with Clarence Thomas because, like you saw with Samuel Jackson calling him Uncle Clarence, these are actually racially motivated insults. Fine, if you want to do it. Let's just apply your own standards, and I hope that you choke on them. But I love that Clarence Thomas made a joke about someone short and curly being on his Diet Coke can. It just makes me want to party with Thomas.
It may have been one.
You
don't know.
You have no idea what those interns do.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I do it all the time. Right, Gerald? Maybe your Coke.
So speaking of black women,
Gerald.
and by the way, I don't want to say black women because it's an insult to black women.
It is.
And just to be clear, when we say Beetlejuice, I mean the Beetlejuice from Howard Stern, but like you said, she kind of looks like...
She had sex with Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's two Beetlejuice.
I think she looks like Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice.
No. She looks more like... With both of them. We'll talk about it more on
It's
Mug
a combo.
Okay,
It's a combo.
So Lori Lightfoot, America's mayor, as nobody refers to her, also berated Justice Clarence Thomas with some harsh words.
Now we know what happened with the Supreme Court yesterday. And if you read Clarence Thomas' concurrence, he said, thank you, Clarence Thomas.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just what she writes on her dating app.
Who's she opening for?
Pantera? That sounds like a smoke machine.
Right?
Yeah, F. Clarence Thomas. Now, Skid Row without Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
Please welcome Twisted Sister.
In the most corrupt city in the world, what dirt does she have on people that she's the mayor of Chicago?
Oh, she
How is that
stares
even
at you for more than
possible?
3 minutes, and you're like, all right, don't
She's
cast a spell.
Yeah, she's stealing people's souls. Like,
She probably has a lot of dirt left over from all the shallow graves of her political opponents.
that's unbelievable. That lady is just so weird. But anyway, I thought we weren't supposed to say F anybody in politics. I thought that was a bad thing to say, unless it's Donald Trump or now apparently a black man on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird.
Look, and this is the problem: is that they've by their own standards have called for violence. And my question, look, here's a question to you: what do you think happens here in this country after Roe v. Wade? Comment below. I think that this could maybe slightly hurt Republicans in the midterms because the left is on an all-out assault and trying to create a false narrative and using false polling data. That being said, I talked about this on last Friday's show. That's how we ended the show, is you can turn this into a win by simply educating people, which we will try and do today. I guess there's a new Supreme Court ruling that's happening right now. You guys can let me know. We'll talk about it later.
It actually came out 6-3
it's on right
decision
now.
again. Same kind of split as the Roe v. Wade decision, where a coach who was praying at the 50-yard line actually, guess what? They recognized a right in the Constitution and said, yes, there is a First Amendment. He has a right to go and pray at the 50-yard line. It's not coerced. He can go do it. That was it.
People were mad that someone was praying at the 50-yard line?
Well, yes, apparently went all the way to the Supreme Court because I think he was fired for that, or at least there was some kind of penalty.
I mean, I understand if he's, doing doing the Muslim call to prayer 50 yards up in a plane.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be concerned.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of the game.
Right.
Someone
well,
could get hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, they had that when I was playing at the 50-yard line. Whoever wanted to go and pray at the 50-yard line after the game could. Nobody was forced to. Nobody was ostracized for not doing it. You got about half of the people from both teams that would go there and pray, and you leave. Like, what's the big deal?
Separation of church and state. Yes. Separation of church and 50-yard line by someone personally praying, I guess.
Yeah.
It even came to the school board's attention from an opposing coach. An opposing coach in 2015 heard about the prayers and said he thought it was pretty cool.
Oh. The opposing coach thought it was cool?
An opposing coach.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it upset everyone.
Yes.
No, he thought it was pretty cool that he could do that.
No, I know.
Apparently, by saying that, he got the guy in trouble.
Well, we'll get to the kinds of people that it really pissed off because we have pictures of all the feminists
Yeah, they
at
love that stuff.
at the pro-abortion rallies.
Yeah.
Picture them in your head. You don't need to watch the segment. You'll already.
No, you got it.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah. If you guys want to pray to the spaghetti monster in the sky, you can do that at the 1-yard line.
Yes.
Totally fine. You can have your own thing.
Well, I mean, some of these ladies at the feminist, the abortion, I don't know, they're the anti-Roe v. Wade overturning rallies. Mm-hmm. They could be deities. They're huge.
In certain cultures, that's a sign of wealth.
Yep.
Being that big.
Yeah.
Having your own-
Here it's a sign of wealth.
You'll survive
Yes.
the winter.
I'm poor.
It is a sign of poor as well.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like no
general
nutrition.
gelatinous.
Well, you're not that poor. I mean, you're able to feed yourself that much.
Yeah, or very little.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Have you read what's in the bags?
How many people are going to bed hungry every night? That's what they were like. People are going to bed hungry every night. Well, not the people at these protests,
No, they
apparently.
are totally
They're going to
well-fed.
bed engorged.
Yeah.
What are they eating? Veruca Salt's chewing gum?
Food.
So,
It's an everlasting Doritos.
yes. It's an everlasting Dorito taco.
Yes.
Your cholesterol, it keeps going up, and up.
You're turning into a taco.
There's no knowing where your LDL is going or triglycerides are growing.
It's a totally different take.
All right.
We're just saying.
So here, let's start this off with why has there been so much violence this weekend? And by the way, all references will be available at loudwithcrowder.com, and we're going to create a hit list of all the crimes being committed and violent actions being committed here at these pro-abortion rallies, anti-Roe v. Wade protests. And I'd like to hear from you if you went to one locally. Below, let me know what it is that you saw. And maybe you can actually send them in at tips at loudwithcrowder.com.
All right.
So let's start out with not Beetlejuice, but Maxine Waters. Is it like for black women who do they have to be crazy? Do they have to be crazy to serve publicly?
Well, this is like her 50th time calling for violence.
Right. So remember when Donald Trump said you have to make your voices heard peacefully, and then he said fight like hell, right? Which, by the way, you can buy these shirts at the merch store. Maxine Waters called on people to commit really sedition by saying defy the Supreme Court. So this sets the stage for all of the violence that ensues.
You see this turnout here? You ain't seen nothing yet. Women are going to control their bodies no matter how they try and stop us. The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them. Women will be in
How about you control your body off a cliff?
And if they think black women are
Get her a
intimidated
segue.
or afraid, they got another thought coming. Black women will be out in droves. We will be out by the thousands. We will be out by the millions. We're going to make sure we fight for the right to control our own bodies. Thank you. Hello, everybody.
She ended like she's a Santa float.
Yeah.
Hello. So she's waving like the Queen. Hello, everybody.
Throws candy.
Let's go out and kill kids.
Everybody up? Yeah, let's do that.
So again, just applying their own rules. We are going to have a montage, probably tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, of just every single politician who said fight or literally fight like hell. I think that you have the right to say that. But again, in the context here, these are people who are calling their supporters, who, by the way, they know are more irrational statistically, to take to the streets. Here's AOC, who amazingly formed several sentences together to encourage violence.
You suck. Into the streets. 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 Into the streets.
Good thing is it doesn't affect her because she has a doorman apartment in a nice area of Virginia and a Tesla.
Yeah.
So, unsurprisingly,
a megaphone.
Yeah.
Online, probably.
I don't know if you're surprised by this, Dave. You weren't here on Friday, but things got pretty ugly. And then over the course of the weekend, people did start exercising their First Amendment rights, as those at the Tea Party did,
Right.
Or as those largely as it deals with the election results that they believed, included some discrepancies, which of course makes them a terrorist. Immediately violent. That's a flamethrower against the cop.
Oh, wow.
Burned his face. Peaceful.
Ugh. Just wish that fence was barbed wire.
What's wrong, sir? You like killing babies? You love killing babies? Yeah, I fucking love killing babies. You love killing babies, huh? You love that, don't you? You love that.
He really thought that was a good counter argument.
Yeah.
Do you like killing babies? Counterpoint. I'm a rapist. Oh boy, shouldn't say that on camera.
Follow me. I'll follow you. Okay.
I feel really bad for these cops, man. I mean, a couple of years ago, these guys were in the streets trying to defend cities from BLM. Like, can you imagine being
thousands of officer casualties?
Yeah. Thousands of officer casualties, like not knowing if you were coming home that night. Now they're back out in the streets because people are protesting this, largely in places that don't really change any rules. And
doesn't change anything. We'll get to that. By the way, they're protesting largely in states where they can still kill babies, by the way, long after most of these European countries. By the way, Europe, hey, shut up. How about that? Shut up, Europe. When they go, I can't believe this in America.
No.
Really? Where do you stop abortion in France? Where do you stop abortion in Germany? Then compare it to Colorado and California, dummy.
Zip it.
When we want your opinion, we'll give it to you.
Yes, exactly. When we want your opinion, we'll throw a bunch of your important shit in the harbor.
I believe they perform it in France just by putting the legs in the stirrups and blowing cigarette smoke
Yes,
at
exactly.
Yes.
it.
Exactly.
Cooking croissants at it.
20% effective.
They just... Well, they make use of the day-old baguettes. Just grab the day-old one. Don't put it to waste.
Is that very hot?
So,
Terrible.
it's scientific.
No, it's true. You can make a soft spot with bread.
Let's go to Los Angeles. Let's start off with Los Angeles, everyone's favorite place of peaceful protest.
Hell.
At the land of Los Angeles riots, Rodney King and Reginald Denny. Here's a man who was arrested for attempted murder. You just saw it. He used a flamethrower on the police. There you go. You can see it from the tall shot. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Aimed it right at the cop's face.
Behind an umbrella.
Oh, and by the way, hey, control room, go on my Twitter and find there was a clip that I posted where there was a black couple who the police were going for Antifa protesters, and they're sitting there with standing with their hands up, and the cops usher them to safety and go after the white guy causing trouble. If they're racist, they're really, really bad at it. That's on my Twitter there. We can pull that up in a little bit. Here are also protesters in Los Angeles deciding to block off the 110 freeway.
Hey there, David. Well, everything was orderly until it wasn't. I want to put this into context. We have been following several protests in downtown LA today. I would say upwards of 3,000 or so protesters in various groups have made their way over to City Hall, but a portion of the protesters, I would estimate about several hundred, have just entered the 110 freeway in the last 5 minutes. This was not expected.
Well, if you want to lose sympathy for a protest in LA really fast, make sure you make people's commute longer.
Yes,
protesters are now, now breaking the law, and California Highway Patrol isn't going to have any of it.
Yeah. Next thing is a bunch of land-whale feminists just decided to lay down over the 405. It's like, you are now a gelatinous speed bump.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not taking any chances with that. I saw how it went when the BLM riots, again, going back to that, like how many people's cars were vandalized, kids screaming in the back seats, crying, not knowing if they were about to get shot, helmets like being used to bash in windows. I'm not staying there. I'm hitting the gas. I'm going. I'm sorry if you got in the way.
By the way, hey, dummies. Abortion is allowed in California still all the way up to viability, and by the way, with tremendous exceptions. It's pretty much on demand, so it affects you zero, okay? Yeah. Let's just be clear about that. And yeah, you should see the toolkit that I have in my car now.
Yeah.
To ensure that it's non-lethal.
Of course.
I have pepper spray, grenades, pepper spray grenades. I have a push bumper.
Yeah.
and have what I refer to as bag-o snakes.
That's good.
It's a bag of snakes. I feel like it's the perfect. No, it's just a bag of rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
I don't have the rattlesnakes in my car, but I have them, and I have them in a snakeatarium, whatever you call it. And I just think that it would be perfect to go down there and just, like an old David and Goliath sling, throw a bag of snakes out at these protesters because there's no evidence. And it would take a while for them to process. Like, what is that? Is that a diamondback rattlesnake? And there you go. You now have the right of way.
It's true.
Yeah, I think I could just drop like a bee's nest off of the bridge, like as they're coming, something like that, maybe. Or bag-o spiders. I know you would never go to the store and get that one.
No, but they can't. They can squash the spiders. Snakes would force them to disperse.
Let's do tarantula, something really big.
My point is this: you no longer need to be a sitting duck when you're seeing these acts of violence being committed. Go out. Protest, make your voices heard peacefully in your places of worship, at your crisis pregnancy centers. Hug your wives, kiss your children. Or kiss your wives, hug your children. It depends if you're Italian, whatever you do.
And we have that
Kiss
video.
everybody.
Bag
Oh,
of gorilla.
Do we have that video? That's LAPD. So watch this, because the narrative, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, that ending abortion is racist. Watch this. This is something that a lot of people miss. You see a black couple, older black couple,
Yeah.
completely unharmed. Watch this. So they're going after these protesters. Look, black couple right there. Now as they start following these other guys causing crap, look. They run away, and a cop makes sure that they get away safely.
Hey, stop!
See that?
Live ammunition!
Hey, what happened? Hands up. I thought if you had your hands up to the LAPD, they were going to shoot you.
Yeah,
They go, all right, come on, get out of here. They're going, we don't know what's going on. It's a bunch of it's a bunch of racist white people. I'm not to say self-loathing. It's a bunch of racist white people saying that they're speaking for black people. But right there, the only black people in that shot that I can see, two older black people, hands up, police help them out so they can beat the ass of the white disruptor. Good.
Yeah, it's not the 90s where they clearly would have just shot all the black people.
Right, yeah, that's exactly what we've been taught.
Your white here, please. Go to safety, sir.
Yes.
So I'm apologizing for all of
Our
this.
apologies.
I mean, she's in a pink tracksuit.
No one's threatened by.
Well,
they're not doing anything wrong. So clearly that's what happened.
But that's the point, is when they tried to say Mike Brown's hands were up. No, wait, hold on a second. Mike Brown had taken the cop's gun and was beating him in the head with it.
They were up, what, like this?
Right, yeah.
He's swinging back.
Yeah. They're sitting there like, hey, and you know what? You're making it hard for police officers to protect people in these neighborhoods. People who actually live in these neighborhoods. You show up, you leave the refuse, and guess what? They have to deal with it. Cops help them. Good on you, police officers. And I'm not supporting the police all across, but this was a bad weekend for them. I was amazed at their restraint. Let's go to Arizona. Here are some protesters in Phoenix who sieged the Capitol building. Thank God no one let them in for a tour.
yeah, no kidding.
Good thing that cone was there.
Great job, Cone. That's Officer Cone.
Oh, that's such a woman way to try and break the glass with a cardboard sign.
Yeah, I want to do it. This guy's just going to get a snack.
Hey, wow, what's going on here?
Oh, this is weird.
Get the cone! Get the cone!
Good morning, ladies.
And by the way, there were lawmakers inside. They were working. There was the 2022 session there. At least 4 people were arrested, and of course, they all look like huge creeps. That looks like looks like the guy from House Party. Just like he had a Final Destination failure with his hairdryer.
Yeah, House Party 7 when they're all just doing meth.
Right.
He's forgotten how to rap.
And by the way, hey, dummies, Arizona allows for abortion up to 15 weeks still, which is more than most of these countries in Europe.
Yeah. They're protesting for, in consolidate,
4 months.
solidarity with the rest of the country.
Almost 4 months.
A long time.
Almost 4 months. I didn't know I was pregnant. What'd your roommate replace your birth control with baby aspirin?
Hey, is this considered a violent insurrection?
No.
Is this an attack on democracy?
No, not at all.
Okay, so people were still there trying to finish that legislative session, and they were
even though they've literally said we are going to either dissolve the courts or just flat out ignore the courts. Right. Did you see the Pentagon? Can you guys bring that? The Pentagon just said they're going to ignore the court ruling?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, don't join the military now. Hey, Navy, screw you. Hey, Pentagon, you're not our friends. The Pentagon has decided they're going to ignore the courts, and then we're blamed for not trusting our institutions? Well, hold on a second. What about the fact that people say, okay, you know what, this is kind of how the Supreme Court is supposed to operate. This is the process. We understand it. Isn't the Pentagon supposed to be subject to the law of the land? So which institution are you vilifying us for not trusting? the court doing exactly what it's supposed to do,
Yeah.
or the Pentagon flagrantly disregarding the law, because that's an institution, and all of America's military and intelligence agencies have a great track record, don't they? FBI, CIA. Don't trust any of them anymore. I can't watch U.S. Marshals again.
For many reasons.
Right.
Mainly because of the movie.
Yes. I thought it was going to be like Fugitive 2. It was not.
It was not. No, I agree. I saw it and I was like, well, that's a one-watch.
That is a terrible spin-off.
By the way, I love the take on people saying that this is an overreach by the court. They're taking power that they shouldn't have. And I'm like, literally, the court looked at a document and said, yeah, we got no ruling over that. We have no power to rule over this, so you guys take care of it. That was all they did. They gave power back to people.
Well, as of right now, they're trying to figure out what can be put in place or is in place to what's medically safe for the mother. Is that correct?
Yeah, a lot of states right now are grappling with that.
Yeah, states are able to set their own rules.
How they're going to do it. I just think it's just the dumbest take.
In other words, the most radical pro-abortion law that exists in California or Colorado, they can keep it.
Yeah.
And Texas can do what they want. Mississippi can do what they want. Oh, but now I have to drive. Are we back to the ID argument? Can you never be expected to be an adult? All right, let's go to Washington, D.C. Antifa, of course, took to the street to declare very publicly, which almost like you should, it's like the wet bandits. Don't say on camera that you're about to commit a felony.
Right.
Repeatedly. They're chanting, all the great ones have their calling cards.
Yeah.
Chanting that they're going to burn the city down. Not build this city. They burn the city down.
We don't get it? Oh,
they don't.
We don't get it.
Okay. Hey, dummies. Abortion is legal all stages of pregnancy in D.C., just to be clear. All the way up until and including 9 months. All right?
Yeah.
It affects you zero.
Do you remember all these, like, my body, my choice, if we don't get it, we'll burn this mother down kind of things, and politicians coming out when the vaccines, we've talked about this before. Like, do you remember seeing those protests?
Yes, about their choice.
Like, do we get to handle our own bodies, right? Make a medical decision with our own doctor?
Well, the good news is they don't need to worry about abortions because they can't get pregnant after they took those vaccines.
Allegedly.
I'm kidding.
We all do remember Lizer.
But that's because a lot of them tried to use it like a squirt gun. Vaccine. Doesn't work.
Here's Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin III. The department is examining this decision closely and evaluating our policies to ensure we continue to provide seamless access to reproductive health care as permitted by federal law.
There was an actual statement, though, I think, by the Pentagon saying that they would they would still perform the abortion services for their own members.
Maybe one of them owns a 1-hour Martinizing.
Yeah, maybe. If we don't get it, burn down the city.
Never mind.
They built this city. Built this city on baby parts.
The jail bandits.
Let's go to the pregnancy clinics. Remember we told you, hey, be really careful if you're at church or pregnant. Now, many of them have been vandalized. This has happened. Again, we'll have the hit list. All references available at loudwithcreditor.com. Here's Longmont, Colorado. Life Choices Pregnancy Center. And let's be clear about something, too, when we're talking about this. The places they are burning down. I don't know how much familiarity you have with this, Dave, but I've had a lot of friends and family who've worked at crisis pregnancy centers, non-Planned Parenthood crisis pregnancy centers, which is also hilarious that Planned Parenthood claims only 3% of their services are abortions, but now they're like, we're going to have to shut down. Really? Why?
Because you went down by 3%?
That'd be like Rite Aid having to shut down because they can no longer sell Junior Mints. Well, it's not that big of a profit margin.
Well, Rite Aid went down because they could sell everything.
Yes. But Rite Aid went down because it was Rite Aid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like 7-Eleven. You walk in, you're like, is this a Pauly Shore early 90s horrible comedy? Why don't you guys get some new flooring?
What? Can I eat whatever's on this roller? I mean, you can.
You can try. You can take your chances.
Why would you? But
go ahead.
We just stopped putting expiration dates on anything because, it's better for us that way.
It's all roulette.
Yeah, it's all roulette. So a lot of these crisis pregnancy centers, just to be clear, they actually offer ultrasounds. They actually offer medical service. They actually offer, so I know one that was here in Texas where I had a family member work with. They actually offered adoption services, nannying services, daycare services, and resources for single mothers afterward. They offer more than, all right, get in the stirrups, chop, chop. So Life Choices Pregnancy Center in Longmont, Colorado was not only tagged with graffiti, but set on fire.
picture that said, if we can't have our abortions, we're coming after you.
Those words now spray painted on the front of the Life Choices Pregnancy Resource Center in Longmont.
So they do like ultrasounds and pregnancy tests and all that too.
Hey, look, two pretty women.
Above and beyond that, if the woman does decide to parent, then they give her clothing and formula and just a lot of support.
Becky Young was both a former client and employee. When she heard the building was set on fire and vandalized, she was shocked.
It was like, that is such a weird place to target, I guess.
Longmont police and fire responding to Life Choices just after 3 Saturday morning, finding the spray paint and the fire, which is now being investigated as arson.
Investigated as arson. They wrote that this is arson.
Yeah. Spray paint all over the building. They're like, well, I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Let's bring in the arson specialist again on this one. My hands are tied.
Let's not jump to conclusions. It could have just been those taggers with their graffiti, which is also stupid, by the way. And then just on a separate instance, next to where it says, we are burning down this building, someone else burned down the building.
Lightning strike.
Thanks, Columbo.
Natural
cause. They spelled if with a T.
Right. Hey, I don't know if you know this, by the way. Colorado, and we did a hidden camera investigation there. Not investigation. We just went to an abortion clinic in Colorado, and there was a lady there having an abortion at 32 weeks. She stopped because of us. Left. I know. So you get really mad when we save a life. We get really mad when you take one. So I know you're seething, but yeah, that lady who was going to get an abortion at 32 weeks, she stopped because of us. We convinced her to not do it. The misogynist prick right here convinced a woman to keep her baby. Come at me, bro. In Colorado, abortion is legal up until birth. Okay?
Yeah,
it affects you zero.
Why attack the building in Colorado?
Because they don't like crisis pregnancy centers that actually provide education. Do you know what you'll never see if you go to Planned Parenthood or you go to an abortion clinic in Colorado and abort a baby at 32 weeks, 28 weeks? You'll never see what the baby looks like because you don't have to. And if they go to a crisis pregnancy center, and this is why it's important to prosecute and to go after the doctors who knowingly are merchants of death, because most of the mothers have no idea. They've been told that it's as simple as, an appendectomy. Having a goiter removed, which Lori Lightfoot has had many.
Well, and a lot of times all they'll do is show you an ultrasound. And when women see their child in their womb, like you connect. You have to face the fact of what you're about to do, and it's helpful.
When pregnant persons see a child in their body hole.
Birthing women? Birthing persons?
When pregnant men on the cover of Calvin Klein.
Yes.
Not that that's a magazine. On a billboard, I mean.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
it's a big change from Marky Mark.
Yeah, I mean, but imagine having that view. I can understand somebody. I disagree with it wholeheartly. I can understand somebody holding a different view on Roe than I hold. Right?
I
disagree 100%. But can you imagine being so mad about that your outlet of choice is to go after something that actually takes care of women who choose to go and maybe pursue other options? Like that is your deal, is to go after somebody who provides services to the community that you say you're trying to serve by making sure abortions are
available. My choice. Well, what if they choose to go to the crisis pregnancy center?
Yeah.
Burn it down.
I mean, did they show up in the old school van, tackle them into a fountain and throw them in and take them there? I don't think that's what happened.
They show up in the April O'Neil news van?
Yeah.
They're taking out competition.
That's evil. That is just absolute pure evil.
Do we have the stinger of deal I would take tomorrow? Do we have that? I remember we haven't done that in a while. But
let me grab it.
Okay, so let me know when you do, because I was just thinking about that because I would gladly take this deal. Let's go to Virginia here before I do that. Lynchburg, Virginia. I knew this media company. Oh, do you? All right, here's a deal that I would take tomorrow, okay, while we're talking about this. It's been a while since we've used that. Okay, look. Abortions for the left. So AOC, Lori Lightfoot. This is to you, to Maxine Waters. Okay? I will campaign for you. I mean this. I will tell all of my viewers to vote for you, legitimately. I will spend money on social media advertising for you if what you support is abortions legal all the way up until including birth with the exclusion of trans people, meaning only for biological women. If you're willing to say abortion, it's the woman's choice, and you make sure that it does not include transgender individuals, trans men, trans women, I will support that deal tomorrow, and I will campaign for you if you are willing to put your stamp on it and no longer say pregnant persons. If not, it just shows how silly all of this is. That's the deal that I would take tomorrow. They can't even stop tripping over themselves.
Actually, a fair...
Her head's exploding right now.
Fair deal.
I would say it's actually tilted in their favor.
A little bit. Yes.
Say it's very tilted.
She's like
in there. You get Roe versus Wade back. You just have to say that men can't get pregnant.
Yes. Because if you can't define woman or pregnant or womb, how can you define a life?
I'm not a marine biologist.
Right? Yeah. I'm not Hooper. Hey, don't give me this working class trans bullshit. So,
I have a helpful place to burn down.
Yes, we're gonna need a bigger forceps. Forceps? I don't know. The point is this: if you can't define man, woman, pregnant, womb, you're not even going to try and define baby or a life. Let's move on down the trail. In Lynchburg, Virginia, vandals shattered multiple windows at the Blue Ridge Pregnancy Center. They also left what I would argue is a threatening graffiti over there.
It's right outside of D.C., too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it says, if abortion ain't safe, you ain't safe. Hey, again, dummies. Governor Youngkin's law, maybe not as generous as Northam Governor Blackface, but still allows abortion up to and between 15 and 20 weeks.
Ridiculous.
Isn't
20 weeks? 20 weeks. You're talking about 5 months.
Yeah.
You can still kill your babies. Sorry. Person, whatever. Oh, no, it can't say person.
Cells.
With human beings, you can't say woman, you can't say man. And then with babies, you can't say baby or person. You see how they change the rules? What's a life? What's a baby? What makes a human being a human being? What makes a woman? They can't define, and by they, because I know you're watching the IOC, you can't define any of it. Your college degree means nothing if you have to say birthing persons. I'm sorry, I can't say it with a straight face.
Oh my gosh.
Your birth person just had a gender blank.
Yes.
It's a very good day.
Your ovaried person.
Oh, by the way, I know the best mid person to help you with your birth.
With your, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah. Language is regressing. We're just not able to communicate.
Here's some other pregnancy centers that were vandalized. Again, we're going to have a hit list, loudwithcrowder.com. So you can see all of them. Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
Which is odd, because they make most of their money off of clitoral circumcision.
You would think so. Well, you know what? They weren't protesting that. Paso Robles, California. Look, I have to address this.
It's a joke, guys. Of course. Not you guys. I'm just talking about the two Muslims that are like, hey, it's true.
Hey, we do it, but they like it.
Come on. We still have the kid.
Yeah, go.
Just don't enjoy the process at all.
Yeah. Go protest the conservative policies there in Dearborn.
Yeah.
Go do that.
See how that goes.
Okay, we got a growth point instead. No, you have to go to Dearborn. Yeah. I think I'll stay home.
That's what we thought.
Yeah, ladies, go yell at them, but don't forget, keep your mask on.
Now, I have to address this, and just to be clear, this guy is one of those guys, you say his name 3 times in a mirror and he shows up. I never, with the Vox adpocalypse, sorry about that, YouTube, the borderline, sorry about that. They created what's known in the industry as the Crowder rule. Carlos Maza was the guy who went to these leftist outlets to create a hit list on us. And our argument was never really with Carlos Maza. It was with NBC, Vox, right? But they fired him because he was annoying enough and a problem to them that now he's kind of gone solo. And he's shown his true colors. So if he can't get people canceled and have their livelihoods removed, he's totally fine having people's lives removed. So Carlos Maza tweeted this out, okay, when we're talking about violence. This is the most egregious example, I think. Fascists literally do not care how hard you vote. They're not trying to win elections. Violence is the only language they understand, and it's time we start speaking it. The whole point of democratic governance is to create an alternative to violence. When the government is no longer democratic, you're supposed to go back to Plan A. Here's the thing. This is going back to democratic. Do you understand that the court said the states can now decide through their elected officials? What the court said is, it's not our job to decide. If Texas wants to democratically decide through their representatives, If they want a heartbeat bill, they can. And if you in Colorado want to decide abortion all the way up until and including birth, you can't. This has nothing to do with viability or life. And many of people like us don't think it goes far enough in that respect. But at least it gives the power back to states.
Yeah.
This is kicking it back to democratic institutions. And this man is calling for violence. By the way, also insinuated that people need to burn down the Supreme Court, just to be clear. Also retweeted a tweet showing Brett Kavanaugh's address. Just to be clear, when we had the Vox Adpocalypse with this little pissant, I feel like he's earned the right now for some
neutral,
personal.
Yeah. Neutral.
It's gender neutral.
Yeah.
Lispy pissant. Gay wonk is his Twitter handle. Nobody should go and report him, and nobody should go at all and let him know that he shouldn't be tweeting calls to violence, even though he blocked me a long time ago.
Yeah.
Gay wonk?
Gay wonk, yeah. Don't address his gayness, though.
No, don't actually say that word towards him because he becomes offended very quickly.
Right. It's like going to Fat Burger and they say, can't say burger. Well, what am I supposed to say?
Fat?
Yeah.
Like, what did you just say?
Give me a double fat.
So keep in mind, YouTube had a problem, by the way, with us selling the Socialism is for Figs shirt off the site.
Yeah.
If we continued to sell it off the site, they said, well, we can still remove you for things that you do off platform.
Really?
Particularly if it's public, like social media platforms or things that are publicly available. Going to apply the same standard. YouTube just asking you to apply the same standard. Hey, Twitter, how about applying any standard here?
Yeah. It would be nice. And by the way, I hate this. This is like a 5-year-old temper tantrum that we're seeing from the left right now. If you are on the left and you want Roe v. Wade to be the law of the land, there's a path forward. It's called a constitutional amendment. And then when it gets to the Supreme Court, you know what they're going to do? They're going to unfurl the paper and go, oh, it's there. I guess we have to rule for it. Right now they're saying, it's not there. We can't do anything about it.
Right.
That's how this is supposed to work.
All of these places where people are violent and protesting, they don't understand that.
They have no clue.
What'll probably happen in their states is they'll become even more radical. They'll probably extend their abortion laws.
Yeah.
And then in places like Texas, they'll reduce it.
Well, and I love companies, these like billion dollar companies out there that are saying, hey, we'll pay you $4,000 to travel out of state and get an abortion.
Yes.
That's a hell of a lot cheaper than 3 months of paid maternity leave and the disruption of having a kid. Don't think that they're on your side. Right now, they're looking at it going, we can make more money and keep you at your desk
And
longer.
by the way, these people who think they're Harriet Tubman, like the Underground Railroad, you're just taking a bunch of women who couldn't be bothered to use a rubber across states so they don't have to pay for an abortion. Look, this whole idea that we're anti-choice. No, I'm not. I've talked about this so many times. Is there any accountability? Is there any responsibility? I'm pro 5 choices. Abstinence, contraception, motherhood, adoption. And by the way, most of these other crisis pregnancy centers help with those other options. There's 4 options. Just don't support the 5th. And murder. Isn't that reasonable? Isn't that a reasonable approach? Come on. And then saying, look, even if you don't agree with me, you live in a godforsaken state filled with demons and ghouls and Wendigos. Guess what? You can do whatever you want in Colorado. And by the way, I hope that everybody leaves states like Texas and Oklahoma and Idaho, and they go back. They crawl back into the rubble from whence they came. Hey, by the way, before we move on, because we're not calling anybody to violence, but I am calling you to defend your house, your home, your businesses, if it comes down to that. You can watch us Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern on Rumble or on Mug Club, loudofcrowder.com/Mug Club. That's where you can watch us because notifications don't necessarily work. Though hit the notification bell if you can. About 10% of you will find that notifications work, and the rest of you won't. All right. Anything else? No? Okay. Now let's get to the childish portion here.
You mean fun?
You know it's coming.
Yeah. Because this is, full display has been everywhere, Roe versus Wade, these protests. And if you follow me on Twitter at @SCrowder, you'll see that I've responded to some of them in real time, much to the chagrin of several planets. So it's time now to at least bring you the best of the best, and it's time to introduce a new segment we call Unadulterated at Hominem. All right. So here are some pictures of the abortion protests that were just taken. And by the way, when we're on Mug Club, we have some exclusive info from Ginger Snap. He was there in D.C.
Yeah.
And someone tried to take his camera.
Oh.
It was his first time. I'm like, oh, man, you should be thankful you weren't punched in the face and kicked in the nuts like I was.
Jumping jacks for life, baby.
So, Dave, you weren't around any of these protests.
I went and looked at the one in Detroit.
Yeah.
A little, but there wasn't really much. I was going to film it, but it didn't really take off until the nighttime.
Yeah. Well, also probably because it's largely black people in Detroit, and they're honestly, with this one, they're not the ones often going out. There does seem to be with a lot of black women who are more traditional black women. They don't want to go out and celebrate abortion, even if they are pro-abortion.
I don't think most people that have had one want to celebrate it, and I think it's a very personal thing. I mean, I don't.
Well, these pictures might.
We'll see how this all plays out. I don't really.
Well,
But no, it's not. It was not big downtown.
Okay, so we got some for you. Hold on to your butts. Picture what you think these women looked like. It's exactly what they looked like. Let's go to the first example. I don't know. I'm going by these blind here. There you go. This one says, I am a 6 out of 10 and keep abortion safe. Now, first off, when I saw this, I thought I was careful because I thought she was saying that she was 6.
So did I.
But then I realized the tattoo, and then I realized that she was there at the abortion rally, and it turns out that she is of age. And then that's just offensive because I think that, first off, a 2 would be very generous.
Is she royalty?
Yes.
Is she on a hunger strike?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Jeez.
I'm a 6 out of 10. Ooh, I don't know about you being a little generous to yourself there, love.
Oh, my. Why does that help?
I don't even know why it's relevant. That's just someone who really wanted to let everyone know that she was a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just you take your shirt off and it's not like anybody sees anything.
Right.
Ah, it's a boy.
It's like, oh, hey, well, what? This lady claims she's a 6 out of 10. Wait, you mean behind the Greyhound?
Yes, there's a little gay fella with a man bun.
Yes.
Ever want to make love to a skeleton wrapped in skin? That's like, no, thank you. No.
Excuse me, little boy. Do you need help holding your sign up?
Who stole your shirt, little boy?
Get them a sandwich.
I'm a 6 out of 10. What does that even mean?
Here's a protein shake.
What does that even mean?
Her parents had 10 kids? Is that what that meant?
I'm number
She's 6 out of 10 children? 10. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Well, if I were her parents, I would have them running around with numbers.
I mean, if
I would number them all 1 through 10, and then it would be hard to find a place to fit a 6. Oh, you know what I would do? I would label them all like 1 through 11, but then I would just have like number 7 missing, so the kids would always be looking for their entire life.
If you raised 10 kids to be that, you'd have every right to be pro-abortion.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, we need to be clear with the math. 2 3s does not equal a 6. So if this girl is a twin, you're being misleading.
It's true.
And if, by the way, I would assume that if she is a twin, that she's the one who didn't get the placenta. The other one was like, get out of here. Get out of here. I'm a 6.
Says you.
Tell it to a judge.
The one got double patties.
Yes. All right, here's another example. I believe this one was here in Dallas. There are more of us. Well, dear God, I hope not.
What is that?
That's Gene Simmons in a...
Is that a henna tattoo, or is that real? Who's next to her?
There are more of us. No, they're not. No, there aren't. This is the problem. The media will highlight these people as though they're normal. There are not more of you. There are not more of you who believe in abortion all the way up until birth, and including birth period, who also can't define where a life begins. There are more of us, and thank God there aren't. Doesn't that looks like Gene Simmons in a corset?
Yeah. Yes, it does. I can't really see her too well. I don't see too good, Bob.
Oh, no, don't zoom in.
She got a hairy armpit.
Oh, hairy armpits. That's how you know she's fun to talk to.
I thought it was an armpit tattoo.
Oh, it's a fright wig.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
I wasn't sure.
There are more of us. Just look at the level of delusion.
She wasn't working or pleasing a man on a Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that. I think more so she would be upsetting a man.
Yes. Right.
Stop. Go.
Get away.
Don't touch
No,
me.
please, this something. Stop it.
Nope.
But I can just stop.
I'll pay you.
That's not how this works. I think this is one that I really, if I'm not mistaken, this next one. Let's see, this next lady right here. It says, if my uterus, she says, if my uterus shot bullets, it would have more ways. Sweetheart, that thing could fit a howitzer.
Yeah, it's what's in there? It's in there, one of Al Capone's Tommy guns.
Yeah. What's in there? Just she's gonna pop out the Moab.
Yeah. Wow, that's not a woman, is it? Isn't that?
And then from the back,
the kid that stole Pee-wee's bike.
And then from the back, it's like from the back, she's white. She looks like slob job. It says, "This is also racism." What? This is also racism?
It's not a mask, by the way. It's a permanent napkin.
Yes.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I always have a bib.
If my uterus shot bullets, oh my gosh! That thing itself could be a biological weapon.
I don't want to
imagine her going to Planned Parenthood and the doctor's like, "You think you're what?"
I'm a 4 out of 10.
There's no possible way.
There's no way you're you're pregnant. I hope you don't miscarry.
Right? Yeah. No, your body is Clearly a perfect incubator for the miracle that is life.
Yes.
Nope, that wasn't the problem.
If you just want to sit on the table with your font.
Yes.
At least dress up. I mean, come on.
That is her dressed up.
Really?
Look at her. Come on. She put some effort into that. Look at that.
Oh, that's true. It does match.
No bra, bandana, that drawstring, which she clearly had to replace because it's not the right color.
No,
Let's go with green today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it slimming?
I mean, put on some vertical stripes.
I mean, something.
Something with a taper. I'm just kidding. It won't help.
They were like, this is why we made the grimace purple.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Although she, in real life, is the Hamburglar.
Yeah, that's true.
None are safe.
Oh, that's true. She's also given birth to some fry kids.
Yes. You could fit the entire Burger King kid club in that uterus.
Yeah, believe me, what comes out is definitely the one in the chair.
Yes. If my uterus shot bullets, this is the level of logic. No one said that guns have rights. They said that human beings have the right to protect themselves. Just like okay, let's take this. Let's take a kid in a wheelchair, someone in a wheelchair. If someone in a wheelchair doesn't have the ability to protect themselves, do you have the right to harm them? No, of course not. Just because they're defenseless doesn't mean that you have the right to harm them. It's the same thing for that baby in that cavern from the descent you call a uterus.
Yeah, I agree.
My crying out loud.
She didn't have a fanny pack. There's no way.
They all have fanny packs.
Did she have a fanny pack?
Her fanny ate it.
Oh.
It was lunch.
It was way down.
It was a once upon a fanny pack.
It's the biggest one you ever saw.
And this is the grand finale because this hits all. And by the way, some of you are saying, this is at Hominem. Yes, absolutely. The grand finale. Here we go. Another protester. This one hits all the marks. Look, let me just show you exactly why. Okay, first off, you got massively overweight. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you got the horn rimmed glasses.
Right.
Okay. Then you got the ironic fanny pack.
Right. And it's Michael Moore.
Yes. Then you have the ironically expensive phone for the oppressed.
Uh-huh.
And then you have ill-placed tattoos indicating fiscal irresponsibility. And then, of course, the final accessory is a desperate, unattractive man behind you to convince you that the rest of the world is wrong and that you are, in fact, beautiful just the way you are. This is the feminist pro-abortion starter pack. Available at gender-neutral Spencer's everywhere.
With that stance so that you don't break a leg.
Yes.
Can you imagine just the guy at the tattoo parlor? Just
got a lot of
putting
real
that on her
estate to
upper
work with,
thigh.
yeah.
Like, how much will that be? It's $11,000.
Yeah.
Why? It's your whole upper thigh.
Your back is 12 square feet.
Not to mention the device that we have to use to keep that skin taut. It's like what they do with your eyelids for LASIK, only with your legs. It's just like they crank it.
You didn't see me change the needle 117 times?
I read out of green, so I'm just going to have to finish this with whatever.
Is that Satan on her?
I don't
right
know
thigh
how
there?
many. I don't know how many rolls of paper towel I went through, but there are 4 garbage bags right over there.
What is that tattoo? What is the tattoo? Is it Satan or is it a lion? Is it like a knocker from an old door?
Looks kind of satanic. I don't know.
No, it looks like it could be. Wow, you're right about a door knocker.
Is it Majora's Mask?
It looks like like a lion mask, maybe.
Either way,
urban legend says that if you see the full tattoo, 3 minutes later you throw up.
Yes.
You know,
either which way, right when you see it, you've passed out from smell.
Even looking at that, if she were here, I wouldn't ask her to lift her jeans up so I could see the rest. I'd be like, no, I'll just guess.
Yeah, nobody's ever
Fine.
said, that's lovely. What is that?
What's the top of it?
And go back to that guy behind her. Can we show that guy behind her? The full look at that. That guy's just like look, I'm at the
fanny pack.
I'm at the take what I can get mode.
Oh yeah, he definitely is.
He just got rejected by a 6.
Look at him film. What's he filming? He's filming her.
He's filming the back of her mushroom cut.
Oh boy, yeah, that is a nice haircut.
Okay, honey.
Yeah,
she did that with a Flowbee that morning.
Sucking my will to live.
Oh Lord.
Oh gosh, it's Peter Griffin undercover. You know what though? I feel like we should be the wingman of that guy and get him some.
We should help him.
Yeah, we should help
him.
By no.
By what?
No, by kicking. his butt into shape.
Oh, no, I thought you were saying by kicking him into her DMs.
A 2 can at least get a 5.
Yes.
He doesn't have to get a negative.
No. 20. He doesn't have to wake up to the smell of mustard gas.
That's right. He does not enjoy the smell of napalm in the morning.
No. And by the way, do you think this is too much? You can comment below because when it comes to these ghouls, I make no apologies. This has been Unadulterated at Hominem. All right. And really quickly, I want to also address one of these things. I almost got confused in creating a counter argument. Have you heard, and you can comment below, and by the way, hit the like button. That does help with the algorithm. Have you heard the argument that overturning Roe v. Wade is about white supremacy? And of course you have, because they argue that everything is white supremacy, but specifically that overturning Roe v. Wade is racist. And they're calling the decision, of course, the Dobbs case racist. So it defies reason to the point where you can get turned around in trying to, they make their illogical offer. And here's my counter offer. Then you go, wait, hold on a second. Wait, what was the offer? It doesn't make any sense. So let me just set it up. Ayanna Pressley, along with Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, wrote a letter to Biden demanding that he do everything in his power to ensure black women can receive abortions, because that's the sign of people who are not racist. I know. That's why I say this is tough to follow. Go with me here, okay? Go with me, and I'm going to circle back around, and it'll all make sense. It's not going to make sense when I set it up with the arguments directly from the left. All references available at loudwithcrowder.com. Here is a clip that was circulating yesterday as though it was a real checkmate. Only these people, they weren't even playing checkers. They were playing Uno. Banning abortion. Here's a claim that they're making with this video, that banning abortion is white supremacy so that more white babies are born and they'll maintain the birth rates. This is real. This was the top 5 trend on Twitter yesterday.
And right now, white people are really frightened. If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book, The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute. And he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, the main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country. He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are 3 things we can do to solve this. Number 1, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have babies, so we don't want to do that. He says the second thing we could do is increase the number of legal immigrants that are allowed into this country every year. Then once again he says, unfortunately, the vast majority of those wanting to come to this country today are people of color, so we don't want to do that. The third thing he says, and women had better pay attention to this, 60% of the fetuses that are aborted every year are white. If we could keep that 60% alive, that would solve our birth dearth. Does that sound like racism to you? And if it doesn't, I want to know why it doesn't.
Okay, let me explain to you exactly why it doesn't. Let me hit you with the truth here, and let me go with this. This is important. Notice he just said if we could maintain the 60% of white women, stop those abortions. Here's the issue. Always, across the board, going back to the founder, Margaret Sanger, and in practice today, statistically undeniable, they never want to stop black abortions. In other words, you can say it's white supremacy because he wanted to stop white abortions, but he didn't want to stop black abortions. You guys, meaning the left, you still fulfill half of that, in that you encourage more black abortions. You're not stopping white abortions, but you understand that black women they have abortions committed against them. Let's use that term. They perform abortions. They have abortions performed on them at 4 times the rate of white women. Let me give you a stat that'll shock you. About 40% of black babies are aborted. That means that a baby in a womb, a black baby in a womb, has almost as much of a chance of being born as they do of being aborted. It's pretty close to a 50-50 shot, 60-40 shot. Those aren't odds that you would like to take if your life depended on it. By the way, in certain municipalities where they have aggressive pro-abortion campaigns, like New York, more black babies are actually aborted than even born.
Yeah. New York accounts for about 10% or so of all the abortions as well.
Yes. And by the way, more black babies will be born if abortions are restricted or they're banned, just to be clear.
Yeah.
And proportionally, they would probably grow as a part of the population at a faster rate than white people because often black women have more babies. So in other words, we're the ones being consistent saying, how about no abortions across the board? The left is saying more abortions for black people. And they're trying to make it sound like it's white supremacy because some guy said if we could only ban abortion for white people. Well, he didn't want to ban abortion for black people. You know who else didn't? The founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger. I know you're trying to create some distance. No. We're going to bring her right back in here. Let's read some quotes. We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. We don't want the word to get out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. Let's be clear. You can read quotes. You can take quotes out of context. You can also try and take some examples of racists who have policies on abortion. But you have to go, just like I say with Islam, to Muhammad. The founder of the feast, Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, she was a racist. She didn't just want to set up abortion clinics in poor areas, not poor white areas to the same degree as black areas, period. Yeah. So there's been one group that has been consistent, by the way, and it's the same group who were furious, just as they are today, when the slaves were freed. Across the board.
I have no idea how you can make the argument that this is a white supremacist racist thing. First of all, Clarence Thomas, the first person that they're pissed off at right now is a black man. I know he has a white wife, and that's, really taboo. I guess you guys are living in the 80s still. But there's no way you can look at this and say that the black community is not overrepresented in abortions. We gave you that stat, too. I think they're 2 or 3 times more likely per 1,000 women to have had abortions in each one of those categories. It's 2 or 3 times more likely that a black woman, has had an abortion. They account for a much smaller
They get abortions at 4 times the rate.
They get at 4 times the rate, but just per 1,000 women. If you look at it versus white and Hispanic and non-Hispanic, they absolutely are overrepresented in this. How can you not look at this and say, what the hell is going on?
I don't want white babies being aborted. I don't want black babies being aborted. How about that?
I just don't want to tell a community of women right now, if they're 4 times more likely, what are we telling the community to make that happen? What are we saying to them that says, hey, there are no consequences, go do this, right? Margaret Sanger, this is her dream scenario, right? That everything that's being put on these women in this community, and trust me, I'm saying it's being put on them because they're being lied to daily.
Just like
to say, go, have sex as much as you want, no consequences whatsoever. We will keep this from being a problem for you.
And by the way, it's the abortion equivalent of Lyndon Johnson's dream scenario with the Model Cities program. It's great. We can keep black people in poverty. We can keep them in certain areas of the city so they won't bother other white people, and we'll keep them on the government dole. We'll call it public housing. Yeah. We'll call them social projects. We'll call this reproductive rights for black women. So you look at their policies as, hey, black women, stay reliant upon the government, be a baby mama because we're actually going to discourage getting married and having a man in a house, and get abortions. That's what they have said. You need abortions. You need public housing. By the way, you don't need an ID. Isn't that racist? And at a certain point now, there are enough black people going, I don't think it's racist to have to need ID. Yeah. I don't want to live in public housing anymore. Kind of like Muhammad Ali, when they asked, why did you move out of I think it was Chicago? He said, at a certain point, he said, to get away from black people. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Said to get away from the black neighborhoods at that point because there wasn't any help in it. By the way, Muhammad Ali, no one talks about the fact that he endorsed Ronald Reagan and campaigned for Orrin Hatch. We'll do a segment on that maybe when we go on break here this July. By the way, share the show if you are watching right now. And I wanted to close here with a thought because there is a lot of rhetoric going on about fight like hell. You hear that a lot. You hear fight, the term. They tried to make that out to be a term of violence when used figuratively. You can buy the Fight Like Hell shirt at crowdershop.com. But we hear the term a lot, and I just heard it recently with a good friend of mine who knew someone who had cancer, knows someone who has cancer, and said, this person's a fighter. And we use that term a lot. And I think it's important that we define what it is, right? We hear the term like, she's a fighter, he's a fighter. Well, first off, let's separate it, right, the term. What does it mean? And how can you be a fighter? How I define it, and I'd love to hear if you agree with this or disagree, but let's separate a professional fighter for a second, right? That's a term We mean this as an analogy when we're saying this person's a fighter. They're a fighter in general in life. But still, there is some applicability there. So fighters, professional fighters, they win and they lose. Muhammad Ali lost. Would anyone ever say he wasn't a fighter? Of course, Georges St. Pierre lost. Was he not a fighter? Of course we wouldn't say that. Of course they were. So when people say, oh, he's a fighter, right? That's the best chance we've got. He's a fighter. Oh, she's a fighter. Oh, this person fights like hell. Well, what does it mean? It doesn't mean that you win all of them, as we said, with professional fighters. What does it mean to be a fighter? It really boils down to something pretty simple. It starts with one simple word, and it's one that's often vilified. No. Someone who's willing to consistently say, no. That's the start of every fight. They often say, oh, Republicans are the party of no. Conservatives are the party of no. You're right. The Supreme Court just said, no. We don't agree. We don't have that authority. Americans could go along and get along and say, sure, you know what? The easiest thing is, okay, abortion is the law of the land. Think about Roe v. This is a long-standing fight. And the people who fought all the way up to the Supreme Court for a long time, it started with them saying, no. It's always easier to get along if you go along. Like maybe your friends want you to do drugs, and you don't want to do drugs. Maybe they want you to mug that lady, play the knockout game, whatever it is. No. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you're in the hospital and you're tired. Been going through some treatments that are tough. And I get it. At some points there, it'd be easier to give in to death. You say no. That's what makes a fighter. Maybe it's easier to just avoid saying something, and this is where we all are, right? Even if I'm taking some severe examples to paint a scenario, but for all of us, maybe it's just easier to avoid saying anything when your friends talk politics, religion, values. Or maybe they say that all Trump voters and all conservatives and all Republicans, insert whatever group here, are Christians, are fascists and Nazis. And a lot of the time, we see this a lot, and particularly with often nice women, good women who want to keep the peace. Your friends will say all these things, and instead of just, well, maybe, you say, no. That's what it is. A fight starts with no. Any physical fight that you've ever seen between two guys started with one saying yes and one saying no, effectively. One saying, I'm going to take your lunch, and the guy saying, no, you're not taking my lunch money. One saying, I'm going to talk about your mother this way, and the guy going, nope. No is a line. Get in the van. No. That's a fighter. Get in the alleyway. No. Get on your knees. No. Every fight in life starts with you finally saying no. Why? Because no is a start of rebellion. No is a start of stating publicly, emphatically putting your stamp on where you stand. No, I won't do that. No, I won't shut up. No, that's wrong. Every single one of those examples is the start of a fight. That's where it begins. And you know what? All of you right now at this point in this country, when actual acts of violence are being committed against you, not just words, you have to accept that. You have to accept that someone says something, you say no, and that's the start of the fight. And unfortunately now they're willing to get physical. You say no and let the cards fall where they may. You'll win some, you'll lose some. Some people win more than they lose. Doesn't matter. There are fighters with losing records. They're still fighters. You've got to decide if that's what you are. But if you start with no, and you stick with it, and you keep saying no, and you keep sticking with it, win, lose, or draw, guess what? You're a fighter. That's the term. We always say, he's a fighter. There you go. That's it. It's no for long enough. No, I don't care what your record is. If it's 0-25, you showed up. And enough no's, enough fights, enough rebelling once others have given up, and you're still standing, eventually you're going to earn yourself some wins. But either way, you have earned the right to call yourself a fighter. Keep saying no, fight like hell, never stop. It's that simple. All right, we're going to go, and we have some exclusive info here regarding Ginger Snap in Washington, D.C. And Dave is going to be July 15th through 16th, Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone.
Yes.
And 29th and 30th, Omaha, Nebraska at that Funny Bone.
Yep.
Let's go. Piss off YouTube.